Well, the holidays are right around the corner, which brings wonderful opportunities to reconnect and spend some quality time with family and friends. Between all the festivities, travel, and festive gatherings, this season can also create some ideal conditions for viruses not only to ruin our plans, but also spread to those that we love. Joining us this morning with more information on how to stay protected this holiday season is Dr. Reed V. Tuckson, co-founder of the Black Coalition Against COVID and chairman of the board for the Coalition for Trust in Health and Science. Good morning, Dr. Tuckson. Thank you for your time this morning.
We're so glad to be with you, and thank you.
Absolutely. Doctor, as we approach this holiday season, what do people need to know about protecting themselves and their loved ones from COVID-19?
Well, there are a lot of respiratory diseases circulating around, whether it's the atypical pneumonia, the RSV, the flu, or as we're discussing now, COVID. So we need to be prepared to prevent disease. As you mentioned, the holiday season and the colder weather means more intimate indoor contact. That means viral diseases like COVID spread more easily, and our coughs and sneezes can transmit particles more easily. COVID hasn't gone away. So I'm here today and pleased to partner with Moderna to help inform people how they can make personally appropriate COVID vaccination decision. The bottom line, the overwhelming majority of health professionals and scientists think that everyone 6 months and over should get the new updated COVID vaccine now before the holiday season begins.
How long does a typical COVID vaccine typically last, Doc?
We learned a lot from the more than 655 million doses that have been administered in the past. The data is clear that the vaccines are both effective and safe. They prevent hospitalizations and they definitely prevent deaths. But we know that the vaccine protection does wane over time. And so what we currently know now is that these vaccines should be effective for at least another 6 months, 6 months from the time you get it. But I would take a special caution note, those over 65, and those with immunocompromising diseases may need to have a little more attention to more frequent dosing based on the decisions they make with their doctor.
How effective are the current vaccines against new variants?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That these viruses do change all the time, and the variants do cause us to have to modify. That's why it's important that if you were immunized in the past, that you need to get this new one now. The new one anticipates the current strains of virus, and we do believe from the data that we have that it will be effective to what's circulating today. So if you've been vaccinated in the past, you now need to make sure that you get the new one now.
Okay, so answer to my next question, I think you just did. If I had COVID this summer, do I still need to get the updated vaccine, or will the antibodies built up fighting that off carry me through the winter season?
Oh, that's an important question, and I'm glad you asked it. And so I'm sorry for those who had to suffer COVID in the summer. You did develop some antibodies that would hold you for a couple of months, but we want to make sure that you're protected throughout the rest of the season. And so it is recommended that you get vaccinated 90 days from when you received a positive COVID test or 90 days from the start of your symptoms. That's really what the guidance is now.
Who's considered at most risk, severe symptoms and outcomes from COVID-19?
The saddest thing about the COVID pandemic is how much it affects our seniors, those 65 and over. I am sad to tell you that nearly 90% of the deaths last year from COVID were in our senior population. And so we really want to focus on them. But let's not forget also that we have 3 in 4 adults in America that have some underlying health condition which could cause them to be immunocompromised. Things like diabetes, obesity, heart disease, lung disease, cancer treatment, those kinds of things. So those who have those immunocompromising diseases need to really be in touch with their health professional to make sure that they are making the right decision for how frequently they need to be vaccinated.
Doc, what are the treatment options for mild and also severe cases? When should someone also then seek out medical attention if they do have COVID-19?
Well, there are, thank goodness, a variety of interventions, some of which can be taken orally, like Paxlovid, and some which will require intervention by a health professional. The key is to get at it soon. So if you are someone who is suffering from COVID now, within the first 5 days, you need to be involved in some sort of remediation effort, or at least consider it. So it is so important that everyone have a trusted health advisor, a trusted health provider. And if you are experiencing it, check in with them and make the right decision that makes sense for you about whether or not you want to, what kind of intervention you want to make.
There's been a lot of talk about long COVID. What is it, and does getting the vaccine protect from getting long COVID?
You know, this is really complicated for people because one of the challenges that COVID gives us is that it attacks so many different parts of the body, and and the way it expresses yourself is very variable in individual to individual. And so if you're someone who has had a chronic problem after you have had COVID that's lasted for 3 months, whether it's fatigue, brain fog, chest pain, other kinds of issues. If it's persisted for 3 months, then you probably have long COVID and need to be involved with your health professional. But here's the key. If you want to prevent long COVID, don't get COVID. If you don't want to get COVID, get vaccinated.
Yeah. Where can we get more information, Dr. Tuckson?
Well, easily, vaccines.gov. Go to vaccines.gov, or you can go to disease.education/finder. Disease.education/finder.
Dr. Reed V. Tuckson, co-founder of the Black Coalition Against COVID and chairman of the board for Coalition for Trust in Health and Science. We thank you for your time and your expertise on this very important subject, especially around the holidays, and may I wish you and your family a happy holiday.
And back at you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. All right, it is 36 now past the hour. Let's take a quick break here at the desk. We'll return. We've got more headlines coming up here to get us to the top of the hour here on KFYR+.